especially when everybody's had a long day today. So I'm still waiting for the presentation to come. So just to start with an introduction, I'm Vikesh. I'm from Wipro. Some of you might have heard about it, but we're the global sort of system integrators, quite a sort of a very big organization. I have worked in utilities personally for 17 years within UK, Europe, North American markets. So Middle East is considerably new for me as a market. So I come from a very puristic technology regulatory mindset. But the interesting thing has been I have been in investment banking for the last 5 years, involved in most of the buyouts of utility organizations across Europe and Australia. So a very different mindset from that perspective. It's technology. Everybody knows, I think we've been talking about the whole day, you will have to change. And that the technology will change you, the renewables or the mix will change you. Everything is there which will change the organization. Now, and specifically at least in the West, where the privatization has happened, the change has been more subtle as well. Because once an investment bank owns a utility organization, it's all about the money. And that drives the biggest change. Before we move on to the presentation, one thing I just wanted to ask you guys, obviously, I worked in utilities 10 years before. If we were to talk to you, what was the one most important thing from a utility organization? I'm assuming the answer was customer or assets? Assets. Customer? Okay. So it used to be, it's the same, I've gone across world, talked to lots of CEOs, it used to be assets. In the last 5 years, suddenly we have transitions to customer. We've all become, or trying to become, a customer-focused organization. And that change has, you call it the technology change, how we've evolved over time. And personally, there is another change coming in from our perspective. So let's pick up the customer first. That's gone a bit funky. So I personally believe something more important than your customers is your employees, internal employees. And that change is there, accept it or not. Until you could change your employees, I don't think you will be able to take care of your customers. The second one, assets. I think we've heard about it a few times during lots of conversations this morning. What's one thing more important than assets? Any hints? Data. I think it's been mentioned a few times. Asset is important, and that is the fundamental sort of a thing for our utility organization. It's the value of the assets. We're here today. We're investing into capitals. That's the biggest thing for us. But data will overpower the asset management regime itself, and that's the next side of things. Another one, employees are the biggest asset for an organization. We all agree to it, but they contribute towards the largest Opex of an organization. How ironic is that? We call them the assets. We want to empower our employees. But when we go into the balance sheet, the financials, which is what the net worth of our organization is managed by, they're still considered the largest Opex on our books. And what are we trying to do? Cut down our Opex. That's our basic thing for a utility organization. Let's increase the efficiency. At the end of the day, that means cutting down your Opex. You pick up anything, optimizing shared services, pick up anything. For the last years, we've been trying to optimize the Opex. Now, there's one thought I would leave you to it. This, I think, is one of my favorite ones in a way. So rather than going into the sort of things, obviously it makes more sense in a decision making. My idea was, because I've dealt with so many utility organizations, and by the way, every utility I have dealt with is different. I don't know if you've heard about it. From Canada to Australia, every utility I go to, they say, we are different. We are different. London Electricity, we are different. Everybody is different. I've carried out lots of IT transformations, business transformations. I've bought over utility organizations, lots and lots of them, and then transformed them into the best performing utilities across the sectors, across the countries we have dealt with. Obviously, the technology has been the biggest driver for change. So when you do business transformation, the first thing you will get is the technology trying to try and implement an ERP system, a control system, an IT-OT integration, an IoT, trying to still manage your costs better, making the better financial decisions from an asset management perspective, having a single asset registers or whatever. Do you know what actually, when you implement these IT systems, the business benefit cases are in most cases written to say the return on investment for an X technology, whichever you want to pick, AI, anything, is either 3 years, 4 years, or 2 years if you're really, really trying to push for it. There's one thing, in my personal opinion, which has given me better efficiencies, better Opex management, better financial control over organizations, has not been the technology itself, has not been the technology. And that gives you better returns on anything which we don't even realize. And that's your employees. And specifically from an employee perspective, yes, giving them the tools, techniques, the mobile devices, the apps on them, consolidate data, analytics, report, you name it, you can give them everything. The one thing, the one word which has made difference in my life, and I've got proven examples for it, is called accountability. You give your people accountability, and they will deliver for you. It's very easy to say. It takes the biggest change element for an organization. It's easier to give them a mobile device, and iPads, and iPhones, and analytic tools. But to implement an accountability matrix where you empower them really to make decisions on their own is one of the biggest things we have to do if you really want to actually make sort of the things or drive the organization towards perfection in a way. So that's where, and that is one thing, one of the reasons you will see lots of IT projects being implemented will not give you the returns or will not get you to where you had expected the business benefits to come from. Moving on, and this is another one, technology projects. So technology is core sort of the forefront of our changes within the organization, be it the operational technology or IT technology, or these days, obviously, the new buzzword is IT, OT, merging up your information technology and operational technology together. Take any vendor and find out how many ERP implementations in the world have gone wrong, the bigger ones. And the statistics are closer to the mark of 50% going wrong and right. There's a reason behind it. There are two schools of thought. So I'll give you an example here. So I've worked with the London Electricity, which is taken over, it's privatized now. And I did a similar transformation project, a technology transformation project with a gas organization in Spain. Two of them took a very different view. So the London Electricity, which is UK Power Networks, one of our clients, they took the approach of a customer employee-centric approach. So yes, we will buy an ERP system. I wouldn't name the system, but an ERP system. We'll roll it out. The money was not funded by the regulator. The money was funded by the investors themselves because they believed that they could get the returns from it, and that was the confidence level in it. But it was all employee focused. To the point, it was not driven by the CIO organization. It was driven by the business organizations for themselves, and hence the accountability of it. The mobile applications, you name it, everything was done for them. It probably took considerably more amount of time and money and effort to get it off the ground and get it delivered. An alternative approach was, I think somebody mentioned it today, was you force the change onto somebody in a way. So the Spanish organization took the opposite approach, and they basically said, here's an ERP system as it comes out of it. Can you just put it in and all the employees will change? I think the important word is they will change, they will adapt to change, that's it. And you will get it. So the project was delivered on time, less than the budgeted value, and started giving returns, no doubt about it, in the Opex, as their business benefit said, in the first couple of years. The difference between that, they got stuck to that. That was their new benchmark, and that is where they got stuck. While the London project, which we were doing, has been improving since. They were the last in their sort of league tables, and they managed to get to the top of the league table and improving every year, with the return on investment in less than 2 years, and still on a gliding path for improvement, because it's the ownership of the systems, the technology, the process, and everything is still owned by the employees there. And that was where the difference was between the two. You can force a change, or you can take your employees together and have the change implemented done. So what does it mean from going from another perspective? So the rules will change. So change is there. The rules of the employees will change. You will have to empower your, obviously, employees to make decisions. The employees will have to have continual learning. Technology is obviously, it's a core skill going forward. You cannot avoid it. The millennium is already picking it up. It will have to have. And the more important thing, we used to love, at least as engineers, we love our information. We love our knowledge. We would, I have met people, this is my transformer. I've been maintaining this on Oxford Circus, and I'm the only one, because it's 93 years old, I'm the only one who would do it. I don't think one technology will make the change, but that has to change. The collaboration element, the more you share would be better. And that's what the rules of engagement today for the employees will have to change. What does it mean from a top management perspective? The hierarchies have to go, unfortunately. I think the hierarchical, the way organizations are structured are breaking down from a perspective that the decision making has to be more local, more done at the local level. And the whole thing is more about communication, being transparent down from top down. So actually being able to start the communication top down, having empowered employees, taking them along with you. The other one which has worked quite well is this problem of collective problem solving. It's not always the management's problem. It's not always your problem. It's an organization problem. As soon as you can get that culture inculcated, it's everybody's problem. Let's solve it. And that will make so much difference. And we'll come to some of the ones in a minute. So what are we looking for in a leadership in an uncertain world of our utilities? So lots of buzzwords here. I'll pick up on certain ones. Grassroots ideation is one of my real favorite ones. People used to rely on somebody from outside, some consultant, will come in and tell you what to do. We've all been guilty of it. Most of the good ideas actually come from you guys. Seriously. I have learned so much working in a utility organizations which I could have never learned if I had stayed in a consulting organization. It is. And if you could harness that power of the ideation from that level, you will make such a big significant difference to your organization, which I don't think any technology or any other thing would ever come closer to it. One of the biggest examples we're doing is for BP at the moment in London, where this is like, there is galore of ideas. You name a problem, the management has named a problem. Okay, the costs are high, the oil prices have gone low, sorry. We need to save into this aspect of it. This is HR, shared services, back office, and you get ideas upon ideas. Marry these ideas with the best practices, and you have the perfect recipe to be successful as an organization. Obviously, the transparency I've already covered. Learning is another one where you need to get into that continual mode of learning from an organization perspective. And that actually makes so much difference once everybody is in that circle of learning continuum in a way. And it's a continuous thing, to be honest. You cannot sit at any point and decide, that's it, I know it all. As soon as you get to that sort of an attitude, I know it all, I think that's done. So that defines almost what the skills are. This is sort of a comparison as to at different levels of the grid. It hasn't come quite that nicely on here. But it obviously takes into account where we have been as large teams, so from large teams to distributed teams, skilled workforces. Yes, whoever was the most skilled one was the best employee in a way. But more so now it's moving to where connected. Connected organization. Slow to adapt, quick to adopt, innovation everywhere. Obviously hierarchical structure to flatter structure I've covered. So these are sort of the continuum changes we are seeing in the industry which are powering the sort of the future of the new generation utility organizations. Obviously we've covered most of from a worker's experience perspective, we've covered most of it. Some of them you might have from a technology perspective. Again, mobility, remote working, I think we've covered most. There is a plethora of technology elements around to start engaging your employees further from wearable to voice enabled. We've seen demos of it. And gamification obviously has been the sort of one of the new ones coming along on the thing. That almost gives you all these are all the technology which actually gives you the basis of starting up your organization or building up that employee base within your organization. But what you are looking for is the changes on it. I think that should be. And once you have inculcated that employee behavior within your organization, there are obviously lots of benefits from moving people who were just doing their work for sort of doing their work for coming to work for a salary to people who are engaged, who are promoting the organization itself and working for the organization. And these are some of the benefits of it. Thank you. Take any questions? Wow.
Thanks for your presentation. In your, I think, second last slide, the transition from old to new, the first point, a global, more distributed view. What is your view on a shared services concept in that construct?
So I have a very so we as an organization personally like to change. Okay, how many times? So most of us probably have come from a technology background. How many times have we moved from distributed computing to central computing to distributed computing to central computing? At least we've at least seen 2 cycles of it. Shared services is probably in a similar state, I personally believe. We thought that individually each processes integrated into a common business unit were more effective. And then there is an opinion that a shared services model taken into a more common platform serving across is the next paradigm shift in a way. Is that the end of it? I don't believe. If you look at it, computers in a way, or processing power, as we say, computing power, has been an example of it. We started with having mainframes to PCs, 2 servers back out again, back to our desktops being more powerful, back to the cloud again. And with the OT and IoT chips coming in, I was reading an article from Microsoft yesterday where all the artificial intelligence will be locally inculcated on the devices there. Yes, in the short term, can you benefit from shared services being a central entity and harmonizing it? Yes, surely do. And most organizations have taken out the inefficiencies of it. But is that a long-term sustainable thing? Is still a question mark for me. But yes, they have benefited in the long run, where it's a standard thing with an organization. You start with all the good intentions, it grows, and the inefficiencies just creeps in. And then you have to take another step to remove those inefficiencies and start with another paradigm, and then you move to another paradigm. And that's how I've seen organizations evolve over time. I hope that answers the question.
Maybe we'll take one question from online and then we'll come back to you. So these days market trend to use technology to simplify work process through linking staff responsibilities with work processes. But some organizations fail due to their employee competencies. Now, how to balance between the competency and the technology?
Yeah, I was expecting a similar sort of a question was, AI will replace all employees, so why do you need employees? That's the obvious one, obviously. To be honest, till the point, I think the singularity as we describe it from an AI perspective is still quite far away, where a computer can match the human intelligence / emotions. So that's the 2 things I measure AI on, and anything which evolves around, that's you measured on. Employees' competency failing in organization is the organization's fault. If you can't take your employees with you from either a competency perspective and make things happen in the organization, I personally believe it is the organization's problem rather than the employee's problem. So either there are no benefits in place, there are no change factors in place. Normally I don't know if the saying goes here, the best approach is a carrot and a stick model. I don't know if everybody gets it. So either there are benefits or there is a stick. And a balance between the 2 normally always gets your stuff done. But it's striking the right balance between imposing certain things or giving them the flexibility and the accountability between the 2. That is where the successful organization lies.
Okay, thank you for that. This is, again, something that maybe is happening with Nama Group currently, which again, about a major change that's happening toward digitalizing everything and making it in a shared service rather than in a collective, in individual companies. One of the things that you say, to make sure that this project is successful, you have to increase the accountability of the employees. That maybe by something as increasing the ownership of the employees toward that project. Again, I have understand that one of the enabler to increase the ownership is to do a collective problem solving.
Yes.
Okay, so this is maybe the the segments of increasing the accountability of the employees, but this is not possible that for all the employees within a group. So you will do it with a certain amount of people, and that will work maybe for them. But how to make sure that again the others as well are in the same boat?
Okay, I'll give you an example. So one of the very simple ones, I think Michelle talked about it as well, is from a shared services perspective, scheduling or dispatching your right person to the right place, to the nearest to the right asset, is one of the sort of the things, and where we have technology. We've had scheduling tool galore. You pick up, there are lots of scheduling tools. Then we've had smart algorithms based on GPS location, where there were traffic information, you name it. We could get that person there at 80% efficiency. I have implemented most of these systems in my life. There's one organization which has the most efficient and effective scheduling system, okay? And that's not based out of technology, okay? And that is puristically and puristically, I can vouch for that client. I can name the client later. But they haven't implemented the technology to get the best scheduling, best sort of the dispatching function done. It was literally just creating the organization structure and empowering the leaders within that, or the lead field engineers in a way, to be able to make decisions on themselves. And as you see the team leaders or the lead engineers getting the responsibility and accountability, that automatically then flows down into the team in a way. You will see the behaviors automatically as, so if you had a medical appointment and and you took your responsibility as an engineer to get to a certain point, if your lead field engineer knew that you had an emergency and he was accommodating for it, which the software probably can't, the next time somebody else is on a medical leave, you will step in for them and get to that asset before. So it's more about not the accountability. You start passing down the accountability, and the people next to you will start taking it. But they need to be empowered to make the decisions.
Thank you.
Maybe one question online there. Say, what do you say in centralizing HR across the electricity sector? And even though they have different, probably, businesses.
So yeah, so this is my favorite word, by the way. Different. Every business is different. Every function is different. So from London to us to see this, I went to Canada, Alberta State. Our network is different. London obviously says I'm different. Perth says I'm different. Every network. I have never met a network, and I deal with lots of them, who have not said our network is different, our processes are different. To be honest, if every process was different, we wouldn't have an ERP system in the market with industry-specific implementations, to be honest. So yes, you believe you are different. Yes, there are two ways to deal with it. Either change the system to accommodate you, or change yourself to accommodate within the systems. The choice is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Very informative. I just have a comment on the question I think one of our staff have asked here. I think the fear is here, by centralizing HR, you will enter into the regulatory issues and a lot of lack of decision making in the organizations. I think it's very important to mention to the staff, having HR share services does not mean you lose the control. You will be outsourcing or sharing the non-core business for the sake of cost efficiency and maybe collective bargaining with somebody else here. Still, even if you share services among a number group, still the core HR will remain within organizations, yeah? So I think this misconcept, it's there. Some staff are worried. Now my HR are 15 employees, then I'll remain 5. Yes, maybe 5, but more efficient 5, yeah? And then you have better decisions, I mean.
Yeah,
just a comment.
No, definitely. So yeah, AI does not replace people, or automation does not replace people. To be honest, yeah, auto coding bots will not replace people. It will give us the people who could do better on other stuff or managing other stuff which we humans are better in. We humans are not good in repetitive tasks. And that if that somebody is in that space, I think you should change. Leave the repetitive tasks to computers, to bots, to AIs or whatever. Start your creative engines. That is where your power or harness, your knowledge is needed. Your emotional values, your intelligence, that is what we need, rather than trying to match three-way invoices. That's not good use of your time.
Very quick.
Okay.
So, Doctor, I'm adding to the point. I like the point that motivation and accountability to the staff and empowering staff rather than forcing. What I believe forcing staff will do achieve some task, will achieve the task, but will not achieve the objectives. Staff will not achieve the objective. If we want staff to go into the objective, we have to empower them and motivate them. And it will also relax the top management from focusing on the operation. And the staff will be focusing on the operation. Top management will be for strategy. Thank you very much.
I think if the best thing an advice I give to all CEOs, have a vision. Yes, it's very good to have a vision. And most organizations will have a beautifully written vision of whatever description. We want to be this in 2025, 2050, whatever. The more important thing is if a person on the ground can actually, what the work he does, if that work can be measured to your vision, and then you have done a job of actually making the vision, because it's the translation of the vision which is more important than the vision itself.
Thank you, Vikesh.
Thank you
so much. Appreciate it.
نماء لرخاء يدوم.